Her name was Monica Reynolds, a woman with power in her voice, purpose in her walk, and millions in her bank account. She didn't need attention. She didn't crave recognition. All she wanted was a quiet dinner at the restaurant she built from the ground up, but what she got instead was a lesson in how far we still have to go. This is a story of a woman who walked into her own restaurant and was treated like she didn't belong, and 5 minutes later, reminded everyone exactly who she was. Let me take you back to the beginning of that evening, when Monica Reynolds stepped out of her SUV, completely unaware that she was about to be humiliated in front of people who work for her, and completely prepared to turn that pain into power. It was a chilly Thursday evening in early spring when Monica Reynolds, a 42-year-old tech CEO, stepped out her black Cadillac Escalade and onto the sidewalk in front of Citroen, one of the city's most talked about upscale restaurants. Monica had just returned from a business trip overseas. She didn't want the spotlight. No VIP reservation, no corporate entourage, just a quiet evening, a warm bowl of lobster bisque, and maybe a glass of red wine. She was dressed in her favorite cream turtleneck sweater, some fitted jeans, and classic brown leather ankle boots. Simple, comfortable, and completely unassuming. What no one knew, or even suspected, was that Monica Reynolds wasn't just a customer. She was a silent owner of Citroen. She had purchased a struggling establishment 18 months ago under a private holding company, choosing not to reveal her identity to the staff. She wanted to revitalize the restaurant for the community, support local farmers, and bring in new jobs. But most importantly, she wanted to observe how the business was run, without the filter of hierarchy. Tonight, though, would test every reason she kept her identity hidden. As Monica stepped to the tall glass doors of Citroen, the soft scent of seared scallops and fresh herbs drifted through the air. The warm lighting bounced off the gold accents and velvet booths. It looked beautiful. She was proud of what it had become. She approached the host stand with a calm smile. "Good evening," she said. "Is there a table for one available?" The young hostess behind the podium looked up briefly, then tilted her head. Her eyes scanned Monica's outfit and paused at her jeans, then her boots. Her name tag read Lily. Lily didn't smile. She didn't even pretend to check the system. "I'm sorry," Lily said flatly. "We're fully booked for the evening." Monica glanced behind Lily, into the dining room. At least 8 tables were clearly empty. Some hadn't even been set yet. "That's strange," Monica said gently. "It looks like there's plenty of space." Lily exhaled sharply and gave a small, sarcastic smile. "Those are reserved for actual guests. Regulars. VIPs," she said, her voice dipped in sarcasm. "You'd need a reservation made at least 3 days in advance." Monica was taken aback, but kept her tone composed. "I see. Is the manager available?" Lily rolled her eyes. "He's busy. Like I said, we're full." "Maybe try somewhere more casual," she added, glancing down at Monica's jeans with a smirk. Just then, a tall man in a gray blazer walked in behind Monica. Lily's entire demeanor changed in an instant. "Mr. Jenkins," she gushed, her voice sweet and warm. "So good to see you again. Your table's all set right by the window, just like you like it." The man smiled, nodded politely, and passed Monica with a brief glance. Monica stepped aside to let him through, but as she moved, Lily turned sharply, too sharply. Her shoulder clipped Monica's arm with enough force to knock her off balance. Monica stumbled backward and fell, her hip hitting the cold marble floor hard. A couple of servers nearby gasped and then chuckled. "Oof," one of them muttered under his breath. "Didn't think she'd fall like that." "Maybe she's looking for the diner down the street," another added, trying and failing not to laugh. Still on the floor, Monica looked up at them. She wasn't angry. Not yet. She was stunned. Speechless. Lily didn't offer a hand. She didn't say a word. Instead, she leaned over slightly, lowering her voice but keeping her condescending tone. "Ma'am, you're causing a scene. I'm going to have to ask you to leave." Monica slowly got to her feet, brushing off her coat. Her hip throbbed from the impact, but her pride hurt more. She looked Lily in the eye. "I asked for a table. That's all." "And I said we're full," Lily replied sharply. Now, please, don't make this harder than it needs to be. Monica paused. For a long moment, she said nothing. The room had quieted. A few guests nearby watched curiously, sensing the tension. She turned without another word and walked out through the same glass doors she had just entered. Outside, the wind had picked up. Monica zipped her coat halfway and stood still on the sidewalk, staring at the name above the restaurant. Citron. Elegant gold letters. Her dream. Her investment. Her legacy. She had poured over $2 million into this place, brought in new kitchen staff, remodeled the dining area with black-owned contractors, partnered with local black-owned farms for fresh produce. She had hand-picked every piece of art hanging inside that dining room, each one created by local artists she believed in, and yet she had just been pushed out of her own front door. Her fingers trembled as she pulled her phone from her coat pocket. She tapped a name in her contacts. Laverne Douglas, the interim operations manager she'd hired months ago. Ms. Reynolds? Laverne answered immediately. Is everything all right? Monica's voice was steady, but laced with steel. I want every staff member in that building in the front lobby. 5 minutes. Full lineup. No excuses. Right now? Laverne asked, alarm creeping into her voice. Yes, Monica replied. Right now. She ended the call. The streetlight overhead flickered as she slipped the phone back into her coat pocket and turned toward the entrance again. She wasn't walking back in as a customer. She was walking back in as the boss. And she was about to make sure every single person in that building understood exactly who they had just laughed at, shoved, and mocked. As she pulled open the door again, the young man who had laughed earlier spotted her and froze. Something had changed. Her posture, her energy, her silence now demanded attention. Monica took slow, deliberate steps toward the center of the lobby. Lily saw her re-enter and scoffed. I already told you where, she started to say, but was cut off by the sharp sound of Laverne's heels clicking across the floor behind her. Everyone to the lobby, Laverne said loudly, her voice echoing. Now. Servers looked at each other, confused. The bartender put down a shaker. The line cooks peeked out from the kitchen. Even the dishwashers emerged. Monica stood calmly in the center of it all. Not angry, not yelling, just watching. Laverne approached, her eyes wide. I didn't know you were coming, she whispered. I wasn't planning to, Monica replied softly. But it turns out I had to. Behind them, the hostess' smirk began to fade. The murmurs grew louder in the lobby of Citron as the full staff awkwardly gathered. Line cooks in stained aprons, servers still carrying notepads, the bartender nervously wiping his hands with a towel. No one knew exactly what was going on, but they could all feel it. The air had shifted. Monica Reynolds stood calmly in the center of it all, her hands folded in front of her, eyes moving slowly from face to face. The very people who'd laughed just moments ago now avoided eye contact. But before Monica spoke a word, her mind took her back, not just the fall she'd just taken, but decades earlier to a moment that would shape everything. Flashback, 1989, West Baltimore. Monica was just 7 years old when she first learned what it meant to be invisible. She and her mother, Tanya, had stopped by a diner on their way home from church. Tanya was dressed in her Sunday best, and Monica still had her Easter ribbons in her hair. But the hostess barely glanced at them before saying, "We're closed," despite two white families just being seated behind them. Tanya didn't argue. She just turned around and walked out, holding Monica's hand tighter than usual. Monica had asked, "Why didn't they let us sit?" Her mother knelt in front of her on the sidewalk and said something she never forgot. "Baby, some folks don't see people like us. But that don't mean we ain't here." Those words became a fire inside Monica. Present day, back in Citron, that fire hadn't died. In fact, it had grown hotter with each success. By the time Monica was in her 30s, she had launched her third tech company, an app focused on secure health data exchange, and sold it for over $75 million. But unlike others who ran off to Silicon Valley, Monica stayed rooted. She returned to her hometown, where too many storefronts were boarded up and restaurants were replaced with fast food chains and liquor stores. She bought a block of properties near the harbor, turning one into a community tech hub, another into a co-op grocery store, and Citron? Citron was supposed to be her crown jewel. It had once been a beloved spot, family-run, soulful, warm. But by the time Monica found it, it had changed hands twice, and the warmth had disappeared. In its place was a cold, overpriced, elitist vibe that seemed more interested in impressing food critics than feeding the people who made the neighborhood what it was. She didn't want to plaster her face all over the ownership documents. She wanted the restaurant to stand on its own, without the celebrity of her name or her money. So she purchased it through a private LLC, kept her identity secret from all but one trusted manager, and rebuilt it from the inside out. She hired a new executive chef from Atlanta, brought in designers to give it modern elegance, and invested in staff training, hospitality, conflict resolution, even cultural awareness seminars. She paid above market wages. She partnered with black farmers in Maryland for produce, fishers from Chesapeake Bay, even brought in craft desserts from local bakers. She had planned to announce her ownership in a few months at the Community Appreciation Night. The media would be there. Scholarships would be given. It was going to be a moment of pride. But tonight, that timeline had changed. Present in the lobby of Citron, Monica took a deep breath. "I'd like to introduce myself," she said clearly, her voice calm but firm. "My name is Monica Reynolds." No reaction. She smiled faintly. "And I own Citron." You could hear a fork drop. Lily blinked like she hadn't heard her correctly. The servers exchanged glances. A line cook muttered, "Wait, what?" "I've been the silent owner of this restaurant for the past 18 months, Monica continued. "I funded the remodel, the training, the local sourcing, the payroll increase. I've eaten here several times without making a fuss, usually at that small table in the back corner." She pointed. "But tonight, I wasn't allowed to sit. I was judged, dismissed, laughed at, and even shoved." Several heads turned toward Lily. Monica's tone never changed. It remained steady, composed. "I was mistaken for someone who didn't belong. But let me be absolutely clear. I belong here. And so does every other person who walks through those doors with respect and dignity." Laverne, the manager, stepped forward, eyes wide with panic. "Ms. Reynolds, I had no idea what happened outside. I would've—" "I know you didn't," Monica said gently. "And I'm not here for apologies. I'm here for accountability." She turned back to the staff. "I want to ask all of you something, and I want honest answers. Has this happened before? Has anyone else been turned away for how they look, how they dress, the color of their skin?" The silence was suffocating. Finally, one voice broke through. It was Marcus, a server who had been working at Citron since the reopening. He was in his mid-30s, with tired eyes and a heart too big for silence. "Yes," he said quietly. "It has." Monica nodded. "How often?" "Not every day," he said, "but often enough to feel wrong. Some people don't even make it past the door." Monica looked at Lily. The hostess was pale now, her arms crossed tightly, her lips pressed together. She looked like she wanted to disappear. Monica didn't yell. She didn't raise her voice or throw blame. She just let the weight of the truth settle over the room like a blanket. "This restaurant was supposed to be different," she said. "It was supposed to be a place where people felt valued, where we serve with heart, not judgment." She paused, looking at each face. "Instead, we become a gatekeeping club. And tonight, I saw that for myself." She stepped toward the center of the room. "So, here's what's going to happen. We're closing for the next 3 days. All staff will report for mandatory retraining. Everyone keeps their pay, but no one steps back onto that floor until they understand what hospitality truly means." No one objected. No one dared. "And Lily," Monica said, turning toward the hostess, "you and I are going to have a longer conversation. But for now, I suggest you take the rest of the evening off." Lily nodded slowly, eyes brimming with tears, and walked toward the back without saying a word. Monica turned to Laverne. "I want a community liaison hired by the end of the week. Someone whose only job is to ensure no one is ever made to feel like I did tonight. Understood?" Laverne nodded firmly. "Yes, ma'am." Then Monica faced the room again. "I'm not angry," she said quietly. "I'm disappointed. I built this place to uplift, not exclude. I will not let it become the very thing I promised to change." She started to walk away, but turned back one last time. "I'll see you all at 9 a.m. sharp tomorrow, and we're going to rebuild this the right way, together." With that, she walked out of the lobby, head high, the same way she'd entered. Only this time, everyone knew exactly who she was. The next morning at exactly 9 a.m., the dining room at Citron looked nothing like it usually did. There were no white linen tablecloths, no ambient jazz floating through the air, no scent of rosemary or garlic from the kitchen. Instead, rows of chairs had been pulled from storage and arranged theater-style facing the front. The curtains were pulled back to let in the morning sun, casting golden light on a room now filled with nerves. Monica Reynolds stood in front of the staff, not as a customer, not as a hidden investor, but as the owner. No one dared to be late. Even Lily, eyes puffy from a sleepless night, sat in the second row. Monica was dressed simply again, black slacks, a white blouse, and the same calm expression she wore the night before. But her presence felt entirely different. She wasn't just the boss anymore. She was the truth. "I didn't call this meeting to humiliate anyone," Monica began, her voice even, "or to point fingers. I called it because something is broken here. Something that no amount of money, good food, or Instagram post can fix." The room was silent. She scanned the faces in the crowd. Most looked guilty. A few avoided her eyes. Some looked relieved, like they'd been waiting for someone to say something. "I want to tell you a story," Monica said. "A personal one." She took a breath, then began. "Years ago, when I was in college," she said, "I walked into a scholarship dinner, wearing a simple dress and flats. It wasn't anything fancy, but it was what I could afford. A woman at the entrance mistook me for waitstaff. She handed me her empty glass and said, 'You missed a spot over there.' Some of the staff chuckled nervously. I wasn't upset. I was used to being underestimated. But that night, I made a promise to myself. I said, 'One day, I'll build a place where no one ever feels invisible again.' She let that hang for a beat. That place was supposed to be this place." She folded her hands in front of her. "But yesterday, I walked into this restaurant, the one I built from the ground up, and I was made to feel like I didn't belong. A few employees shifted in their seats. I wasn't wearing a designer dress. I wasn't flaunting jewelry. I didn't have a reservation. I didn't have to, because this is my house. And the truth is, even if I wasn't the owner, no one deserves to be treated the way I was." She paused again. "Some of you laughed when I fell. Some of you watched and said nothing. Some of you judged me based on my skin color, my clothes, or the fact that I didn't fit the image you expected of a valuable customer." Her voice dropped slightly. "But this isn't just about me." She stepped to the side and gestured behind her, where a projector screen had been set up. A slideshow began. First slide, security footage from the night before. It showed Monica walking in, the interaction with Lily, the fall. There was a collective gasp. Lily turned red. Her hands gripped the sides of her seat. The next slide showed photos of other customers, some older, some younger, many Black or Latino, who had been denied service or discouraged from entering in the past. Monica had quietly installed a system to log guest complaints, and the patterns were unmistakable. Next slide, a quote from a review left 2 months ago. "The food was good, but the hostess looked me up and down like I didn't belong. I'm a teacher, not a criminal. I won't be back." Monica turned off the projector. "This is our culture," she said. "This is what we've allowed to happen. Maybe it started small. A rude glance here. A judgmental whisper there. But culture is what you tolerate, not just what you preach." She stepped closer to the staff now. "I'm going to ask a question, and I need honesty. No sugarcoating. Has anyone here ever felt uncomfortable with how someone else was treated, whether by another team member or by a manager?" A hand went up. It was Marcus, the same server who had spoken up the night before. "I've seen it," he said, "a couple of times. I didn't know what to say. I thought if I spoke up, I'd get in trouble." Monica nodded. "Thank you for your honesty." Another hand went up. Then another. A server named Jasmine spoke next. There was a black couple that came in last month. They weren't dressed fancy, but they were polite. I watched Lily seat a group that arrived after them first. When the couple asked why, Lily told them the other group had a more appropriate vibe. I should have said something. I didn't. I'm sorry. Lily looked down. Her hand was shaking. Monica took a deep breath, then addressed her directly. Lily. Lily looked up, her voice barely a whisper. Yes, ma'am. I want you to tell us what was going through your mind yesterday. Lily's lips parted, then closed. She blinked a few times, trying to find the words. Finally, she spoke. I made assumptions, she said. When you walked in, I thought you didn't fit the profile. You weren't dressed like the people I usually seat. You didn't act like a CEO. I was wrong. She swallowed hard. I judged you, and I'm ashamed. Monica didn't flinch. Do you think I'm the only person you've judged that way? Lily's eyes filled with tears. No, she whispered. Probably not. Monica nodded. This is not about destroying you, Lily, she said. It's about waking you up. She turned back to the team. We all carry bias. Some conscious, some buried. But in this building, bias can't be an excuse. Not when people's dignity is on the line. She walked slowly across the room. From this moment forward, things change. That means training. That means accountability. That means uncomfortable conversations. And it also means second chances for those who are willing to grow. She turned to Lily again. I'm offering you one of those chances, but only if you're ready to do the work. Lily nodded tearfully. I am. I will. Monica looked at the others. You will all go through training. You'll be asked to reflect on what kind of environment you want to be part of. And if you can't support the mission of this restaurant, to be a place of welcome and dignity, you'll be asked to leave. No hard feelings, but no more pretending. She walked to the side, picked up a stack of printed papers, and handed them to Laverne. Starting today, we'll begin a new chapter. Everyone gets a fresh start, but no one gets a free pass. The staff began to stand, slowly, clapping, hesitantly at first, but then more confidently. Monica didn't smile. Not yet. This was only the beginning. After the meeting, Monica asked the staff to stay seated while Laverne handed out folders. Each one contained a journal, a reading list, and a questionnaire titled, What does dignity mean to you? The room was quiet, but a different kind of quiet, reflective, not fearful. Marcus flipped through the pages and looked up. We're really doing this? Monica nodded, not as a punishment. As a beginning, she walked slowly across the front of the room, her heels clicking softly against the floor. I know some of you came here just to make a paycheck. Others because it's close to home. A few of you actually want to be part of something meaningful. And today, I'm telling you, we're going to become something meaningful, whether you want to or not. There were faint smiles now, some looks of relief. But one person still hadn't said a word since the confessions earlier, Lily. Monica saw her clutching the journal tightly in her lap, her knuckles white. Lily, Monica said gently, do you want to say anything? Lily didn't look up right away. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Monica waited. So did the rest of the staff. Finally, Lily stood. Her voice trembled. I don't even know where to begin, she whispered. She looked around the room, at Marcus, at Jasmine, at the kitchen staff, then finally back at Monica. I've been working in restaurants since I was 18. My first job was at a steakhouse in Orlando. One night, a black family came in, parents and 2 kids. The dad was wearing overalls. The mom had rollers in her hair. The hostess I shadowed told me, don't seat them up front. They'll ruin the vibe. She took a shaky breath. I didn't say anything. I just watched. And from that day on, I learned that certain people get treated differently. And if I wanted to keep my job, I had to go along with it. Monica crossed her arms, listening. I internalized it. I started believing that certain types didn't belong. And every time I turned someone away or seated in the back, I convinced myself I was protecting the brand. She looked at Monica, eyes glossy. But the truth is, I wasn't protecting anything. I was just perpetuating something ugly. Something that was done to people like you. And to people like me, too, sometimes. Monica tilted her head slightly. Like you? Lily let out a breathy, bitter laugh. I'm biracial. My mom's white. My dad was black. But he left before I could remember him. I never fit in. Too light for the black kids. Too ethnic for the white ones. I always tried to find spaces where I could belong, and when I couldn't, I tried to fit into spaces that rejected others. Because I thought maybe that would make me acceptable. A long silence followed. I'm sorry, Lily said, voice cracking. Not just for yesterday. For everything I've allowed, everything I've become. Monica's expression softened, but she didn't rush to comfort her. She let the weight settle. Then she spoke. Lily, what you just said, that's what accountability sounds like. It's not just saying sorry. It's naming the harm, taking ownership, and being willing to change. She walked over and stood beside her. I'm not interested in firing you, Monica said. I'm interested in watching you grow. Lily let out a shaky exhale. I want to be better. Good, Monica said, because we all have blind spots. But now, yours are no longer blind. She turned back to the team. And I'll say this to everyone. This is not the last time we'll have conversations like this. This isn't just a one-week reset. This is the new rhythm of Citron. Transparency, reflection, service rooted in empathy. That's the standard. A cook in the back raised his hand. His name tag read Adrian. Can we talk about the kitchen too, he asked. Monica nodded. Of course. There's been a problem with how we handle Spanish-speaking team members, he said. Some of the staff, especially newer ones, mock their accents, make jokes in front of them. Several heads turned. A few shifted uncomfortably. That ends now, Monica said flatly. Anyone who participates in that kind of behavior, directly or passively, will be held accountable. She turned to the back of the room where a petite woman stood quietly. Her name was Rosa, a prep cook who had barely said a word since joining 6 months ago. Rosa, Monica said gently, do you feel safe speaking here? Rosa hesitated, then nodded. See, I thank you. The smallest smile crossed Monica's lips. This isn't just about race. It's about every way we choose to judge people. Language, weight, class, clothing, age, disability. Every single one of those things can be a reason someone gets pushed to the side. And here at Citron, we're not pushing anyone to the side anymore. That afternoon, Monica hosted the first workshop in what she called a Hospitality with Heart initiative. It began with a simple exercise. Each staff member had to share the worst customer service experience they'd ever received and how it made them feel. Jasmine talked about being ignored at a boutique, even though she had money in hand. Marcus recalled being followed around in a high-end store when shopping for his mother's birthday. Even Adrian, who usually kept things light, confessed to being denied a job interview because of his tattoos and accent. By the time the session ended, something had shifted. People weren't just employees anymore. They were human beings, connected through shared pain, growth, and the possibility of redemption. As the sun began to dip behind the city skyline, Monica sat alone at a table by the window. Ironically, the same table Mr. Jenkins had been escorted to so confidently the night before. She wasn't sipping wine or eating. She was just breathing. Laverne approached quietly. May I? Monica nodded, gesturing to the seat across from her. That was powerful today, Laverne said. It was necessary, Monica replied. Painful, but necessary. I wasn't sure how you were going to handle it, Laverne admitted. I thought you might clean house. Monica looked out the window. I thought about it. Trust me, part of me wanted to walk in here and fire half the staff on the spot. She turned back to Laverne. But I've learned that rage burns hot and quick. And when it's gone, it doesn't leave anything behind. I wanted to build something that lasts. Laverne smiled. You're doing that. There was a pause. Then Monica asked, do you think they'll change? I think some will, Laverne said. And the ones who won't stay. Monica nodded. That was enough for her. Before she left that night, Monica wrote a short message on the chalkboard wall by the entrance, a space where customers usually wrote reviews or quotes. She picked up a piece of white chalk and in big, clear letters wrote, "Dignity isn't earned. It's owed." Underneath, she signed it, MR. 3 weeks later, Citron reopened its doors. Gone were the icy stares, the whispered judgments, the tension that once clung to every shift like humidity in August. In their place was something new, something lighter. It started with the music. Instead of instrumental jazz or moody lo-fi, Monica had suggested a curated playlist of local artists, voices that reflected the community, rhythms that made people feel something. Next were the uniforms. Gone were the stiff button-downs and formal wear. Now, employees wore modern, stylish attire that still looked polished, but let them move and breathe. But the biggest difference? The people. Of the 32 original staff members, 24 remained. Some, like Marcus and Jasmine, had become unofficial team leaders, helping newer hires integrate into the new culture. Others, like Adrian and Rosa, now had more visible roles. Rosa had been promoted to prep lead and was being trained to run the cold line during peak hours. As for those who left, some couldn't or wouldn't adapt. They rolled their eyes during training, refused to participate in journaling, scoffed at the hospitality with heart mission. They were quietly let go with severance and dignity, but Monica made it clear, if you can't serve with empathy, you can't serve here. Even Lily, though she stayed, had been moved from the front podium to a guest experience liaison role, a move Monica explained was not a demotion, but a realignment. "I want you to see people beyond their clothes, skin, and confidence levels," Monica had said. "That means walking the floor, talking to guests, listening, not judging." To everyone's surprise, Lily embraced it. She began sitting with guests waiting for tables, offered water to those delayed, and made it a point to learn the names of regulars and newcomers. One evening, she personally walked a single mother and her 3 kids to a booth, then returned to the kitchen with a quiet note. "First-time visitors, come to desserts." The word spread fast, not through press releases or media campaigns. Monica had specifically declined any interviews. Instead, the news spread the way all good things do in a tight-knit city, by mouth, by heart, by presence. A pastor from the West Side recommended Citron from the pulpit. A local radio DJ shouted it out during her midday show. A grandmother on the block told her bridge club, "That place, it feels different now, like they actually see you." One Friday night, Monica arrived around 7:30. She wasn't there for a meeting. No clipboard, no suit, just jeans, a navy blazer, and a deep burgundy scarf. She slipped into the corner booth, the same booth where she'd once planned to reveal herself to the staff months ago. This time, she didn't need to say a word. Marcus noticed her first. He nodded from across the floor. Jasmine waved. Even Rosa peeked out from the kitchen and smiled. Monica opened the menu. Out of habit more than necessity, she already knew what she wanted. Moments later, a soft voice interrupted her thoughts. "May I join you?" Monica looked up. It was Lily. She was holding a small envelope in her hand. Monica gestured to the seat. "Of course." Lily sat nervous. She placed the envelope on the table. "What's this?" Monica asked. "It's a letter," Lily said. "From me. For you. About everything." Monica picked it up, but didn't open it. "Do you want me to read it now?" "No," Lily said quickly. "Later. I just wanted to thank you for not giving up on me, for not giving up on this place." Monica smiled. "Thank you for stepping up. Most people wouldn't." Lily's eyes shimmered. "I would have missed out on becoming the version of me I actually like." As the night went on, Monica sat back and watched the room. The dining area was full, but not in the usual tight, pressured way. It was alive. A group of teenagers from a local debate team sat laughing at a table by the window. A black couple in their 60s toasted to an anniversary. A man in a wheelchair was comfortably seated near the bar, chatting with Marcus like they were old friends. And then there was a young woman at the front, wearing an oversized hoodie and sneakers, who looked nervous as she approached the host stand. Jasmine walked over to her. Monica watched carefully. No eye rolls. No once-overs. No judgment. Just a smile, a kind greeting, and a table offered without hesitation. That moment, the quiet dignity, meant more to Monica than any headline ever could. The next morning, Monica arrived early for a staff check-in. Instead of a clipboard, she carried a fresh box of pastries from a local bakery and a note that read, "To the team that chose growth over ego." They gathered in the dining room, sipping coffee and sharing updates. Monica stood in front of them, same as she had weeks before. But this time, the energy in the room wasn't one of fear. It was one of pride. "I just want to say how proud I am of all of you," Monica said. "We've been through a lot these past few weeks, and we still have more work to do. But what I've seen is heart, and that's something you can't teach." She paused and added, "Every day we open those doors, we have a choice. To serve food or to serve people. You've chosen both." The room clapped, not because they were told to, but because they meant it. Later that day, Monica returned to her office upstairs, one she rarely used before. She placed Lily's letter on the desk and slowly opened it. Inside was a handwritten message that began, "Dear Ms. Reynolds, you taught me what power looks like, not the kind that crushes, but the kind that lifts. I've never worked anywhere that challenged me to be a better human. Until now. Thank you for changing this place and changing me. With gratitude, Lily." Monica folded the letter, tucked it into a drawer with other personal keepsakes, and smiled. Before the lunch rush began, Monica made her way downstairs and back into the dining room. She took out a marker and added a new line beneath the quote she'd written weeks ago on the chalkboard wall. "Dignity isn't earned. It's owed. And it starts with us." From that day on, Citron became more than a restaurant. It became a movement, a quiet revolution served with side of cornbread and compassion. And Monica, she didn't need fanfare or features in Forbes. She had something better. A room full of people who finally understood that the real recipe for success is humanity,